Did you see? What you just witnessed wasn't just a simple turnover. It was the result of something that happened before the ball even reached his feet. If our player had seen those movements, he would have made a completely different decision. But here's the thing, this isn't about having superhuman vision. It's about knowing exactly when, where, and how to look. Look at the greatest players in the world. Modric, Bruyne, Messi. They're not just technically gifted. They're playing a different game entirely because they're seeing things before they happen. And today, I'm breaking down exactly how they do this. We're going to unlock the scanning techniques that elite midfielders use before they even touch the ball. I'll show you a proven system for processing information when you're under pressure, reveal the body positions that buy you that extra second on the ball, and give you training tips that will hardwire these skills into your game. But before we dive into all of that, I want to show you something interesting that might change how you think about vision in football forever. I want you to try a quick exercise right now. Stand up and focus on a point straight ahead of you. Keep your head still and try to notice everything in your peripheral vision. Pay attention to how much detail you can pick up without directly looking at anything. In this demonstration, even professional players are often surprised by how much they overlook their surroundings. But here's the interesting part. Elite players don't rely on random glances to gather information. They've trained themselves to scan the field systematically and process information quickly to gain awareness of the surroundings. That's a skill you're going to learn today and that you must in order to improve your performances. Before we dive into the techniques, you need to understand the 3 pillars of elite vision. The first pillar is scanning frequency, and this is where most players go wrong. Through research and analysis of professional matches, we've found that elite players scan the surroundings up to 8 times in the 10 seconds before receiving the ball. Now, if we look at amateur players, most of them scanned twice at most. Think about that difference. It's like trying to drive a car while only checking your mirrors every 5 minutes. The second pillar is what I call information processing. Imagine you're reading a book, but instead of reading a page by page, you're getting random sentences from different chapters. That's what it's like when you don't know how to process what you're seeing on the pitch. Elite players are constantly building and updating a mental map of the game. They're not just looking, they're creating a living, breathing picture of the pitch in their minds. The third pillar is the last piece to the puzzle, is body preparation. Your body position either opens up or closes down your field of vision. Get this wrong and you've lost before you even receive the ball, but get it right and you'll find yourself with more time and space than you ever thought possible. Now let me introduce you to something I call the clock technique. Imagine you're standing in the center of a clock face. Most players think scanning is just about looking around randomly, but there's actually a precise science to it. When you watch players like Toni Kroos or Kevin De Bruyne, you will notice they're constantly moving their head in a specific pattern. It's not random, they're following a systematic approach that ensures they never miss crucial information. Starting at 12 o'clock straight ahead, they'll check 3 o'clock to the right, then 9 o'clock to the left, and finally that crucial 6 o'clock position behind them. The specific order of checking right or left doesn't matter, but this is the basic concept of critical scanning. But here's where it gets interesting. The timing of these scans is absolutely crucial. Watch this game footage of Messi and pay attention to when he performs each scan. See that? There are 3 critical moments when scanning becomes absolutely essential. The first is when the ball is being passed to your teammate, not you, but the player before you. Most players only start scanning when the ball's coming to them, but by then you've already missed vital information. The second scan happens while the ball is travelling to your next teammate. The third, just before you receive it yourself. Now you might be thinking, that's a lot to think about in just a few seconds, and you're right, that's why we need to talk about the information hierarchy. Think of it like reading the headlines of a newspaper. You need to know what information matters most in those split seconds. When you scan, you're looking for 5 key pieces of information, but they're not all equally important. The first thing you need to register is immediate pressure. Any defenders close enough to tackle you. Next, you're looking for available space. Where can you go with your first touch? After that, you check teammates' positions, then the overall opposition structure, and finally, any potential transition opportunities. The key is to build these scanning patterns into your muscle memory so they become automatic, because when you're in the middle of a high pressure game, you won't have time to consciously think about scanning. It needs to be as natural as breathing. But here's something most coaches won't tell you. Structured drills are only part of the equation. Some of the best players in the world develop their vision playing pickup games. Think about it. In pickup games, you're constantly dealing with unpredictable movements, uneven numbers, and changing teams. You're forced to scan constantly because you don't know your teammates' tendencies. Let me show you how to maximize pickup games for vision development. First, set yourself 3 challenges. Before receiving the ball, identify every player on your team. Second, try to play one touch whenever possible. This forces you to scan earlier. Third, after every successful pass, immediately scan for your next option. The key difference between pickup games and structured training is the chaos factor. In structured training, you often know where players should be. In pickup games, you have to constantly update your mental map of the field. See the difference in scanning patterns? In structured training, players often fall into predictable patterns, but in pickup games, the unpredictability forces more frequent and thorough scanning. This is crucial because real matches are unpredictable. Now here's a practical way to combine both worlds. Take the scanning concepts from structured training into your pickup games. Start with these 3 focus areas. First, pre-scan before calling for the ball. Know your options before you become an option. Second, use the clock face scanning technique we discussed earlier. Third, practice receiving with an open body position toward the majority of the field. The best part about this approach is you can practice it anywhere. Whether you're playing 5v5 in a cage or 11v11 on a full field, these principles remain the same. The key is deliberate practice, consciously thinking about your scanning until it becomes second nature. Remember, vision in football isn't just about seeing, it's about predicting. Every time you scan, you're not just taking a snapshot of the present, you're anticipating what will happen next. This is why players like Modric and Bruyne seem to have eyes in the back of their heads. They're not reacting to what's happening, they're acting on what they know will happen. But here's the thing, you're going to face some challenges along the way. The most common mistake is scanning too late. You'll find yourself rushing your scans just before you're receiving the ball. The solution? Use trigger points. Every time your teammate receives the ball, that's your cue to start scanning. It becomes a rhythm. They receive, you scan. They pass, you scan again, just like I explained previously. Another common issue is information overload. You're scanning correctly, but you're not processing what you see. This is where our priority system comes in handy. Remember, pressure first, space second, teammates third. Keep it simple. Start implementing these concepts into your training today. Begin with the basic scans, add one element at a time, and within 4 weeks, you'll be seeing the game in a completely different way. The beautiful thing about the system is that it works at any level, whether you're playing Sunday League or pushing for pro. I would love to hear about your experience with these techniques. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway from today's session, and don't forget to download the free training plans in the description. If you found this helpful, make sure to hit that subscribe button because next week we're diving into something special. Thanks for watching, and most importantly, enjoy the beautiful game.